LRW down here in the Mountain Star Workshop. And this is when I really appreciate this shop location. It is so beautiful looking down the mountain from here. Well, I've got all my client work handled. I didn't document all of it. Some of it just pumped out the door. And with such a quiet, empty, clean shop, I can't stand it. Got to do something. So I'm working on a new chassis design. And I'm veering away from 1/10 scale. I'm going up to 1/7 scale. Because the kind of tires that I want to use, which are right down here, are monsters. 5.75-inch tires. So, if I look at a rock bouncer tire, which is about 40 inches is what the rock bouncer guys are using most of the time. Seems like that's about where we're at. Just by scaling things around, I end up with about a 14.5-inch wheelbase. Getting ready to cut out a chassis here, so cut out my blanks, and I took 2 of them and taped them together. And what I'll do is, as I cut off sections where I can retape, that'll hold it together. And I'll just keep going as much as I can, try and get out 2 pieces roughed out at the same time. I could have stuck them together with foam tape, but I kind of like it better when they're just slapped up against each other with masking tape. It's time for a little bandsaw magic. Like this. So as I cut out a section, tape it up, and I'll cut out that section, I'll tape that up, so on and so forth. Should hold together pretty good. So there's the results so far. I got to tape this up. I just cut this. But you can see the little trick of taping things together definitely works. Once I've got that taped up, I'm going to go over the drill press and I'm going to drill a whole mess of holes so that I can get my scroll saw in action here. I already removed some material, so it was probably a little more than that. 380 or something, who knows. But let's see what happens. See how much it shrinks. Long last. Got the last little chunk cut out of it. What was it, like 369? It's 167 now. So that's a really considerable reduction in weight, but it's still really, really stiff. I don't worry about any kind of deflection at all with this. So that'll be good for links, shocks. And this will be the real working part of the vehicle. And then a piece will go across the top of it to hold the transmission and motor. So I've got the side parts that are going to be part of the wider part of it. And right now they're with 228, so we'll have to see let's see what that weighs. Right, that's another pretty good drop. So what are we looking at in terms of gram weight for this whole chassis? 273. And for us who live in America, that would be 9.6 ounces. So not a very, very heavy chassis by any means. So now I'm getting ready to drill holes through all of them where they all join. So I'm going to be using standoffs, and so I'll be putting holes in the corners basically. I think you can see my little pencil marks there. And sort of played around on this side too, figuring out different things. Let me show you what I've got in mind here, if it'll cooperate. Yeah, that's about right. So, yeah, long ways to go still. Alright, so from a drawing to a reality, that's my favorite thing. And reusing old stuff sometimes is fun, like these body panels are totally reused from one of the first kind of scale vehicles that I tried to mess with. The whole purpose of the build was to make these giant pit bull tires and wheels look scale, look appropriate to the size of the vehicle, and they do. It doesn't look like a monster truck anymore. The side view of it, that's the proportion I want, that's everything I want out of it. And eventually I'll do a tube frame like that. From the front, I'm feeling that the whole vehicle is way too skinny. It's just too skinny. It would be okay to have the roof that skinny, but the body needs to be about a ½ inch wider on either side, I think, to look right. It's just too skinny. For a single passenger rock buggy, this would pass, but even so, I think it might be a little skinny. That's what I have to say about that. Alright, so I started off with one look and ended up with another look. I started off with a bunch of plastic, ended up with some plastic and metal. Partly out of convenience. I already had these from another project, just in my scrap bin. I wanted to run a light bar. This would make it wide enough to run a light bar. The other plastic bits that I had on it, it was putting everything under a lot of stress, which was okay, I suppose. But the problem was that I was having a real hard time accessing everything. And to get at anything, and to fix anything, and to adjust anything, I had to take all kinds of stuff off. I had to take all kinds of bracing screws off, because that's what I used to connect it to the body to it. I just used the existing bracing screws. Real pain in the ass. And that means like the whole body basically would fall apart just so I could get at one side of it. Getting the batteries in and out of it was a real pain in the ass. I couldn't get 2 batteries to fit in it properly. Just a lot of things that made it inevitable that I would make it uglier and simpler. I've conglomerated 3 different shells. I've just chopped them up and used pieces of them, stuck them on with cable ties. That's very rudimentary. Light bar is currently taped into place, but yeah, it'll be mounted eventually. It's just a little bit on the big side. As you can see, I could use a smaller light bar. Maybe later. Take this thing for a little ride. Let's see how it runs. It's quite large. We got some thick leaves down here. Seems to like them just fine. A little climbing action here. Strange looking beast. Conglomerate beast. Nailed that gate. One way to do it. Okay, got another gate. That's cool. Seems pretty capable. Seems to be handling itself pretty well. Makes the jump nice. Considering it weighs 8 pounds.